Hola a todos y bienvenidos. You're listening to the Voices of Hope podcast from the School of Hope in Guatemala. Our 20th anniversary is in 2023, and we want to celebrate by sharing our stories with you. Each episode will have a special guest who has been part of our journey and the fundamental success of our school. Their stories will inspire you, and we hope you learn a thing or two about our wonderful country of Guatemala along the way. So, let's get started.
Hola, welcome to our 11th episode of Voices of Hope. My name is Sinead. I'm the Development Coordinator at EFTC, working with our team in Guatemala, the US, and the UK offices, spreading the word about our wonderful foundation and inspiring people to visit us here at the School of Hope. Through this series, I will be talking to people who make EFTC possible, from students to sponsors. Today, we have two special guests, Ali and Ty. They lead Proyecto Apoyo, which is one of our strongest partnerships at EFTC. Welcome, Ali and Ty. We are so happy to get both of you on this episode. How are you both doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Yep, pumped to be here.
So you created Proyecto Apoyo. Can you explain what it is and kind of what you do?
We created Proyecto Apoyo in 2017, which is crazy because now we're going on 6 years, which is nuts. But basically, we have two tenets that we really strive to work for, and that's education and employment. And so we have equal parts in that. Ali is an expert in the education field, and I would not say I'm an expert in the employment field, but that's what I went to school for. It's what I got my MBA, so it's definitely more my strength. But yeah, we just seek to make connections and create opportunities to change lives through education and employment. And so the EFTC was a perfect partner for us to do that.
We had been sponsoring the students for about 2 years, and I was teaching in Guatemala. And I took a break from teaching and realized that the teachers, specifically at the School of Hope, were amazing and they were talented, but you really can't meet the individual needs of the students without proper resources. So we really focused on literacy. So we would work on fundraising for things like Kindles, books, and train teachers on how to best utilize them, things like classroom management and just structuring your literacy block to be the most effective as possible. So I worked on that for a few years and was just super impressed by all the teachers at the school.
How did you first get to know about the School of Hope?
I was teaching kindergarten in Guatemala, and the founder's daughter was in my kindergarten class.
What a coincidence. Guatemala is such a small place. Everyone's so connected. Yeah. But what was the beginning involvement with EFTC and Proyecto Apoyo?
Once we met Sophie, we had just launched Proyecto Apoyo because we just moved to Guatemala right after we got married. So we were really looking to partner with an organization or a school where we really believed could make the most impact. And so those conversations went really fast. We'd actually had already built up a base of donors and sponsors already. And we came in just with that in hand, like, hey, look, we've got these sponsors already. We just really want to connect with where we can give the best education. And so first we took over sponsoring a bunch of students in the older grades in high school and college. And we started off with nearly 100 sponsors. But yeah, I mean, it really took off from meeting Sophie, and then we came and did tours and kind of met everybody, and it wasn't a hard decision to partner up for sure.
Truly, from what we've seen, you guys are doing some of the best quality education in the Antigua area. So we just felt we had so much confidence that the resources that we were able to help donate were going to be put to good use.
Why did you decide to go, instead of just doing like individual sponsorship, to have an institutional partnership with EFTC?
So when we moved back to Guatemala, I had a full-time job and Ali was teaching at a different school. So we basically just had this heart to serve. That's why we created Proyecto Apoyo, but we knew that we couldn't do it on our own. And a lot of times there's so many amazing NGOs here in Guatemala that are doing incredible work. So I think sometimes we can get in each other's way when we don't have to recreate the wheel. Like if there's people who are doing it great already, like let's just use our resources to make what they're doing even better. And so that's why I love our institutional role, and there's just no need for us to really get in the way of doing things that y'all are already doing. And so, like I said, once we realized that the level of the education that students are getting here is it's the best around, that's when we knew we wanted to partner up on that level and just kind of be able to get out of the way and feel really, really confident that good work was being done.
So as the relationship has evolved and we've been partners for a while now, what does the partnership look like now?
So we first started with just the educational sponsorships, and we also had nutrition sponsorships, but we shared our vision with Sarah how we really wanted to narrow the scope, and we wanted to focus on literacy. So Sarah's very thoughtful, and she'll send us a wish list of things that she really feels like would impact the students' learning and really support the teachers. So we'll go through and see what we're able to support with, and that's how we kind of gauge where we're going to fundraise. So we just continue to support where the need is, and you have to be really flexible with that during the time of COVID. Sometimes it looks a little bit different, and as you guys develop new programs at the school, we're always excited to help and fundraise and get on board with whatever y'all are focusing on for the year.
Yeah, I think it's even stretched us a little bit because, like I said, our two tenets are simple, and I think it's important to stick to that. Like it's education and employment. How can we change lives through that? But as the past few years have shown us, like things happen that are out of our control, and so we'll get brought needs sometimes, and we're like, that maybe doesn't fit in our scope, but like we have to help. And so now we just whatever is brought to us. Usually we'll do one or two big outside of our grants and sponsorships, kind of big fundraising things for the EFTC. But just in this past year, it was bus fare, it was medicinal needs, it was a couple teacher salaries, and even if it doesn't exactly fit within like the narrow mission that Project Apoyo has, we just really trust that like if it's been brought to us, here's what we need, then we're just going to do our best to fill that need.
Yeah, I think working here, it really shows, it has taught me all the different aspects that you might not necessarily think impact education. So like bus fare, you're like, oh, I don't really know. But if students aren't able to get to school, then they don't get an education. Or exactly, like we want to really focus on our students, but if we don't have teachers, then it doesn't matter because they're not getting the education. So all the like little aspects that go into education make such a big deal.
Totally. And if one's missing, I mean, it impacts the rest of it. It's interesting what needs kind of grab donors and sponsors. Like the bus fare one was such an easy one to get taken care of because we brought it to one of our bigger donors, and they were like, well, if they can't get to school, then what are we doing? And it was like, bam, done. We want to pay for that one. So it's interesting what people feel called to give towards. And that's just an easy example. But it all just kind of comes back under the same roof and towards y'all's mission.
For sure. You both have focused a lot on the more traditional education aspect and not really the business part that you support us with. Can you talk a little bit about how you started with the entrepreneurship program with us?
It was born over a dinner. Usually when Dave is in town, Sarah and Dave and Allie and I will go to dinner. And just as you can imagine with Dave and Sarah, there's just dreams that are being brought into the world, and sometimes they're far-fetched, and sometimes it's like we can do that. So we had this idea of creating basically how can we create jobs. Like we kind of realized as we've gone through every step of the educational process, like the education that kids are receiving here is amazing, and they're getting it from kindergarten through college. And I don't know if anybody else is doing that, but it's literally full education. And when y'all say full, like you mean it. But from like a macro level, and this goes beyond even the education system. This is like a governmental thing. If there's not jobs on the other side of that diploma, then it's like, okay, well, we haven't put the ball on the goal, essentially. Like, we moved it down the field, but like we haven't scored, because without a job, then lives aren't going to be changed fully. So we kind of took it like, okay, y'all are doing incredible work to get all this education for these kids, but what more can we do to like actually create jobs? And so at this dinner, we just started dreaming up like, okay, what can we do? And I remember the first idea we had for some reason was a food truck, which I still think we need to do. A taco food truck, yeah, I think would be incredible. And it just kind of started to make sense. Like, this isn't really a dream. This is something that we can do. And it's another one of those things that's really easy to take to our donors and say, hey, look, we're asking for this amount of money, and it doesn't take a ton as much as you would think. And you can launch a business with somebody and change lives. And so that's what we've been doing for the past 2 years. I believe this next one will be our 5th business that we've launched. And it's just been really cool to see, lives be changed from that. I think I mentioned this on the previous podcast, but every business that we've launched has employees. And so that's when you really start to see like, okay, this is kind of working. It's like, this was a dream that we had, but now we're not only impacting the life of the kid or the student that wins this grant, now they're hiring people. So there's just more families that are being impacted by this. So obviously I get passionate about jobs, but I just think that's the way, after you receive that education, to have a job, to be hiring more people within your community. Like, that's just, it's so cool to see that snowball. And that's what I get really excited about. And
yeah, the talent and the work ethic are definitely here. And you guys know your students so well that the director, Sarah, she can pick out a student and be like, they're going to work so hard. I know that they're going to be able to do it. They're going to be able to succeed. So again, goes back to like, by the time the list of the students that are eligible for the grants come to us, we know that, they're going to work hard, that you guys have equipped them with the skills to run a successful business. So we always feel really good about helping launch that.
Yeah, I mean, the students that win the grants at the end are like the rock stars of their group. And it's funny, like Sarah just knows them all so well, but she's like, yeah, we knew that for a while. And sometimes just kind of, and the best part that I love about it is the mentorship throughout the whole program. So they can go to these entrepreneurship workshops, they can do these employee workshops where they just learn the basis of running a business. But it doesn't end there. You get mentorship after launching your business. You have to send in, monthly or quarterly reports. And so it's a really just kind of fully enveloped, like arms around you. We're going to help you launch this business and we're going to make sure that you're successful. Because like I said, it's not a lack of talent. It's not a lack of definitely hard work. It's just sometimes a door needs to be opened, and that's where we feel like we fit in and can help open that door.
I came into EFTC when it was already a project that was being done. And so it's wild to hear what the dream looked like before, because now it just looks like one of our regular programs that we have rather than this like wild dream that we're trying to accomplish. So that's really cool. And both of you are really passionate about your areas of expertise. So that's really cool to listen to. And also you can see how they really go hand in hand and how it fits into EFTC so perfectly. How do you describe EFTC to people when you're talking to donors or just on the street in Antigua or wherever you are?
When we're out and about, we of course sing your praises. We, like Ty mentioned earlier, you're the only organization that we know of that supports students from prepa until they get a job. And Sarah says this all the time, but the doors are always open for your students. And whether that's health needs or housing, different things like that, over the years, you guys have just gone above and beyond supporting families in every aspect of their life. So of course we help with literacy and things like that, but you're filling needs constantly of students. So yeah, we just love to share that.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely evident during COVID as well. Like, I mean, the need here was just so huge. I know you saw these people on the sides of the roads waving white flags, and that just meant like we don't have. And so to see like the EFTC like have to pause operations, but like it didn't pause the mission. Like it probably like ramped it up. Like, okay, we really need to hone in on what we can do. But that's just kind of the heart of EFTC is just like from the time you walk in the building to eating to your family when you leave. Like it's not just the school. It's everything that y'all do to truly take care of families and not just the student. But it's impressive. I mean, we know a ton of NGOs that are doing great work, but it's just a cool part it's cool to be a small part of this one because we know that it's just the impact is so big.
What do you think gets people to support and feel passionate about EFTC?
I think that the sponsors love getting pictures and notes, but really we found that when friends or sponsors come visit and they meet the student, they're just singing the praises of the school and really promoting the sponsorship, and they're the ones that will continue supporting. So once you see it firsthand and you meet the students and the teachers and see the space, that I really think people love supporting and love to get behind the mission of the school.
And this is always the toughest question for everybody. What is one of your favorite EFTC memories?
This is a small one, but we had a sponsor visit when we first moved here, and our little girl, it was her first time at the school, and one of the students, actually Ty's mom sponsors her, was taking our daughter by the hand and like doing laps around the school. So it was really cool for our daughter to see it for the first time. She's only 2, but she had fun. She had a popsicle at the sponsor visit, and so it was really sweet to see her on campus. One
of my favorite times that I can remember from working with the EFTC is Adolfo was a student that won a grant, and he had launched a restaurant really close here to the school. It was an ice cream shop, and he ran into an issue with a landlord dispute, and it was kind of scary for obviously him, but I think the whole team's thinking like, man, what are we going to do? And he just absolutely was like, no, this is not going to stop me. And now he opened up another restaurant, same restaurant, but he opened up a new location in town, like in Antigua. Like that's a huge deal. And so that was like the perfect example of a rock star student who's like, this has been given to me and I want to make it great and I want to help change lives, and like a little roadblock's not going to stop me. That was a great moment. And also, what's the day that just happened where they Cascarones? Yeah, that's
Carnival?
Carnival. That's one of my favorite days of school when they have the eggs and they have the confetti in them and kids are running around, and
so much joy.
Yeah, that's just a very joyful day.
Yeah, those are all really special moments. Thank you for sharing them. So now it's time for our special segment that Ty did on another episode, so you have to give a different answer. You have 15 seconds to share the best gem you know about Guatemala. It can be either a place, a food, a tradition, whatever you want to share, but it has to be a quick decision.
The eternal spring. We're so grateful for the weather that is just consistent and beautiful. And when we travel back to and from the States, we're very grateful to be back in Guatemala always.
I'm going to say tuk-tuk rides. We've taken them ourselves, but watching our daughter get in one and just her eyes are wide and she doesn't have to wear a seatbelt or be in her car seat. That's like a very, very Guatemalan moment. That's just like super fun.
I was talking to someone and we were talking about tuk-tuks and about being on them on the cobblestone and how it's so bumpy. And I don't remember if I was making a joke or the other person was making a joke, probably them because I'm not that funny. But they were like, oh yeah, it's like a massage that you're like sitting in the car and getting a massage. And I was like, yeah, that's a good way. That's a really positive way to look at it.
A little less relaxing, but yeah.
Yeah, those are great hidden gems, especially for people to make sure to do when they're visiting for our 20th anniversary in July. So before we finish our 11th episode, we'd like to tell you about the launch of a special competition for supporters to win our very new, very lovely EFTC shirts. We love our supporters to share their favorite EFTC photo, maybe when you visited the school, attended an event, or even at home when you received a letter from a student. Everything is welcome. We will be sharing the photos on our Instagram, so make sure to tag us in your post at EFTC Foundation. Thank you both so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. Proyecto Apoyo is a key partnership at EFTC, and we are so glad we can showcase it on our podcast. Your support has helped us to maintain our programming and grow into new areas that our students need. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you for having us.
See you for our last episode of Voices of Hope podcast, at least for now. We will be talking to one of our students, Jennifer, and her sponsors who have helped her in accomplishing her dreams. Their story is so special and showcases what young women can do when given opportunity. Stay tuned on our socials at EFTC Foundation.
Thank you for listening to one of our amazing stories of hope.
Please visit our site to sponsor a student. Visit us in Guatemala or learn about what you can do be part of our work.